Hey everyone, welcome to It Tastes Different Gaming Appetizers. And in this episode, we're going to talk about Embracer. Yes, they're back. And you're thinking, didn't we already talk about Embracer? We did, but they're back again. And this time they are purchasing, or they did purchase, Dark Horse Comics and Perfect World Entertainment. So they basically bought both of those people. Perfect World also, along with Perfect World, they also, which is a part of Perfect World, bought Cryptic Studios, which, Perfect World Entertainment basically does a lot of publishing. They're more of a publishing powerhouse that publishes a lot of games, from things like Remnant from the Ashes, if you remember that game, and which was a great game in the Torchlight series and stuff like that. And then Cryptic Studios, they've done mostly MMOs such as the Neverwinter MMO, the Star Trek Online MMO, and Champions Online, I believe at the moment is their three MMOs that they got going on. So Embracer, man, they've been making a lot of strides and buying a lot of people. And then, of course, we know Dark Horse Comics. If you're a comic fan, you know who they are. And they also snatched them up, too. Embracer's making a lot of moves and purchasing a lot of people. And it looks like Cryptic's kind of going to become part of the Gearbox family. They're still going to be known as an independent dynamic studio passionate about MMOs, but maybe possibly, I don't know if they're going to still be under the Cryptic name or if they're going to be under like a Gearbox name or something like that. Being that they say they're independent, I would assume they're going to keep their name Cryptic, but who knows? We'll see what happens with that. And then, with Perfect World Publishing, they publish a lot of titles and have a lot of titles that they publish. So I would assume they're going to keep that name and just let them continue. From what it says is they're going to keep them independent and let them keep doing their thing and just keep publishing games. So cool. I guess, Embracer's buying a lot of stuff, but so far they don't seem to be intrusive like Activision and EA and these other big corporations are. They seem to just snatch them up and let them continue operating like they were before. So, hey, more power to them if they want to keep that operation going and just keep things as it is. But we'll go around and see what everybody else thinks. Patrick, what do you think about Embracer purchasing these companies?
Embracer must be going through a midlife crisis. They're blowing money like it's going out of style. We know they've always invested in companies to buy minor or majority stakes in the past, but now it just seems like they're like, I like that purse. I like that Porsche. They're going through that midlife crisis. It sounds like they're buying up everything. As you just stated, we talked about them just last week, buying a couple of new studios and stuff. And now they're buying a comic book company, Dark Horse, I like Dark Horse Comics. They did some of the Star Wars ones that I really enjoyed. And they have a line of stuff that's their own as well that is pretty good. And Dark Horse is actually pumping out a lot of great, IPs and stuff like that. And then Cryptic, I liked Cryptic. Actually, I always use the word liked. A lot of their MMOs they pumped out recently are not that great. I loved City of Heroes, which was theirs. That was a great game. They did, and then they did Star Trek Online. When Star Trek Online came out, at first it was pretty good. I liked it, but then they've done a lot of ground stuff that's just kind of ruined it a little bit, in my opinion. But that's me. Maybe with the fresh flow of cash, because what I did not realize is that Cryptic Studio was a very small company. I didn't realize how small they were until this article. So maybe with a fresh influx of cash and a proven track record of Gearbox, maybe they'll get some fresh new ideas for their MMOs and incorporate some new things. So to me, so far, like Nick said, they tend to leave their studios alone. So I'm going to hold out hope that they're going to make, they're going to give both of these companies a fresh influx of much needed cash. And hopefully that means they can do more with what they've got. I don't know what they could do more for Dark Horse Comics. I mean, it's really an odd situation to be in, right? Because comic books are print media. It's one of the last few print medias, like magazine style stuff that's still somewhat holding on, but for how much longer? I mean, comic books are still great. I mean, most of the comic book stores that we've had in town end up shutting down because there's just not enough business to keep them running. Because they've tried, even though they try to do things like subscription services where you could get all your comic books from us. You come to us, you put all your subscriptions in, come in once a week or once a month, and we'll have all your comic books ready for you when you come in, that didn't save them, and and stuff like that. So I don't know what the investment was for that one or what their thinking was behind that. Maybe they're just hoping to get some of that intellectual property out to their studios to start developing video games or something on, or anything like that. I mean, from what I understand, Dark Horse Comics big thing right nowadays is partnering with places to do movies and TV shows. Like I heard they're doing stuff with Netflix and all kinds of stuff like that. So their big play right now is outsourcing their material for movies and TV shows and maybe some video games now. So I think it might be a good thing. Shane, what do you think, man?
It's got me excited for a good Hellboy game. They put out Hellboy. Ekron, I don't know if I pronounce it right. I've heard about it a few times. And then there's the Joy Operations comics. So I like the ideal of this giving them a new branch of stories and game ideals. So that's where they could be pushing this. And basically they just hired a bunch of writers is what they've done. So now you've got people who can tell stories, interesting stories, new stories, and hopefully expand their game portfolio with these. I mean, a really good Hellboy game would be awesome. As long as they don't go Duke Nukem with it, it would be really awesome.
Well, and The Witcher proved that you can do intellectual property from video games, make a good TV show and stuff like that off of it.
Exactly. So. And you're right. Dark Horse Comics really is trying to marvel this thing. They're working with Netflix on a Hellboy series has been a rumor. I don't know. It's just a rumor from a long time back. Plus the movies and God knows what else. Because right now, comic books are really killing it. I mean, with the other medium of TVs and movies and whatnot. So it's a good time for them. And Gearbox is, they're pushing movie mediums and I believe an animated one for the Tiny Tina's Wonderland, and they're making a Borderlands movie. So there's no telling what they could be doing with these new properties just from Dark Horse alone. I'm excited to see what they do. It is weird, like you said, though. They are just grabbing crap. I mean, it's like Daddy gave me the card and swipe. So cool though. I'm more excited about a really good Hellboy game. That's like the one thing I truly want out of this whole deal. And I don't want just some knockoff copy paste his face onto a generic game. I want the Hellboy experience. So that's really what I'm excited for with this. Dark Horse is probably the last big independent comic book publisher. Now they're part of the fold with a bunch of other stuff, just like, Marvel went and DC has already went. And so, but let's see what happens. I think the biggest thing is the companies are now going to have a lot more story ideals for new games. Because that's primarily what this all falls into is new game company, new IPs they can pull from.
And vice versa, right? New IPs for Dark Horse. They can now write comic books off of some of the Embracer IPs.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. You could get yourself a Borderland comic book, Tiny Tina, Duke Nukem. Because they have a lot of IPs they can pull from both ways. So that's really cool. And I would love to see comic books come back and stay in the paper medium. I really don't like the ideal of.
I don't think they'll ever die. I don't think they'll ever die. It's just, the places to get them is dwindling. The stores that sell them, you can get them online. You get online subscriptions for the same cost as they come in the mail. So. That's
true. But it's not like comics aren't like news. You can read news on screen because you pull the pictures from screen, but there's nothing like a comic book when you go from page to page. It's just like Playboy. There's a difference between, and I mean that in a serious sense. There is a difference between hiding
his
that
pages
thing
are stuck
under
together
your
is what
bed.
it means.
Not all of them.
And that Hellboy centerfold.
Hellboy centerfold. Wow. Look at that man hammer. But the medium of paper falling to just comics is fine, because comics have to be on paper. They have to be. It's like a manga. I don't want to read my manga online. I don't want to click. I want to peel those pages apart. Pat, that was for you. And I mean, that's what comics should be. Comics should be just like a dirty magazine. You just you have the paper. So, and hopefully they will stick with that.
Don't rip the pages.
Yeah, and see, if you can get the pages apart without ripping them, boom, bonus point.
Right.
So,
Boom indeed.
So what about you there, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying I'm in the same boat as you guys. Like I said, Embracer so far, they've snatched up a lot of people and a lot of groups, and they're they got that unlimited credit card. They're just swiping everywhere, and they so far don't seem to be an intrusive company that makes the things that they buy, just make profit, and that's all. Right? They just let them do what they want to do and bring out let them do what they do best, basically. And so hopefully with this, we'll see Dark Horse and Perfect World and Cryptic be able to continue doing what they're doing. Hopefully Cryptic can change a little bit, because their last Star Trek Online and Neverwinter, I think I played like 5 minutes of Champions, but they're not very good at MMOs. So hopefully with having these IPs under their from Gearbox and other things that they have, other video game developers that the Embracer might have, or games that they might have, they can make a cool MMO, maybe like a Borderlands MMO or something like that.
Hellboy MMO.
There you go, Hellboy MMO with centerfolds.
Shane really is buying for that Hellboy game, isn't he?
I'm a huge Hellboy fan.
I bet you just it looks tiny in that hand.
It does.
Feels like a different person. But yeah. So I mean, all in all, it right now it's a good thing, right? We'll have to see what happens in the future. Embracer might get too big for their own britches and start doing EA and Activision stuff. But right now, I'm okay with them buying certain companies and stuff like that, because they seem to just let them, they're buying them because they know they got good stuff and they can just go ahead and purchase them and let them continue doing that. So Perfect World Publishing has published quite a few pretty good games, pretty decent games lately and stuff like that. I mean, Remnant is one of the ones they mentioned in the article, and that game for us three was a fantastic game. We played all of it and the DLC. So we really loved that game, and they published that one, and they published some other ones that I can't think of at the moment, but I know I've seen Perfect World come up in a lot of different games at the beginning for the publishing arm. So yeah, more power to them at the moment. Keep up the good work. Hopefully to keep it up and not screw it over.
All right. Yep. I mean, yeah, it's just all around sounds like a good solid purchase for them. I mean, it opens up Dark Horse Comics alone opens up a huge door for them. Perfect World has basically published some really great games, like Nick said. Remnant was like a surprise hit for me. All of us. We played the crap out of it, beat it, bought the DLC, played it some more, bought some more DLC, and I'm not a DLC buyer. I don't buy DLC. So for me to buy DLC, that's a really big thing,
Yeah, that was a game that I believe Nick caught corner of his eye, and we were like, we should check it out. It was on sale or something. Boom.
It was a co-op
passion
game
for it. Yep, exactly. I think that's what it was. It was down to the three of us again, and finally we had 3-player co-op games we could play, and fell in love with the game. So I mean, it's a solid game, and it's something you definitely good to have in your repertoire, as a game company. So
yeah, for sure. Well, do you guys have anything else you want to add to this? Right now, it seems like a pretty good deal for Embracer and for Dark Comics and for Perfect World Publishing. So all around seems like a pretty good thing.
What's next?
Yeah.
What's that next midlife crisis buy for Embracer Group?
Well, last week we talked about them buying Asmodee, right?
Yeah.
Board gaming publisher. So they were thinking about buying them. So maybe that's going to go through. They'll have comic books, game publishing, and a board gaming.
That's a whole new genre mix for them. Let's be
Yeah.
like, we're going to turn this into a Hellboy board game. Or
Oh man, they
know?
could Hellboy board game. Then they can go from the Hellboy board game to the Hellboy the board game, the video game, and then from Hellboy.
And he just
board
spaceballed
game,
the crap
video
out of this
game.
one.
They could go. They could put it on a lunchbox.
And Hellboy the flamethrower. Kids love it.
That's right. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just a full circle of things that they can do now, and they can bring from one group to the next. It's pretty cool. I mean, think of all the tie-in shit they could do with one game. I mean, if they made the Hellboy video game, they could make Hellboy the board game. They could make Hellboy the comic book /
Hellboy
board
the
game.
toilet paper.
Hellboy the toilet paper. So
And Burns
Hellboy
when
the
you wipe.
That's right. So it's a really smart thing that they're doing. So and then they're just bringing in so many new IPs that they could play with. I love it. I really do. And it's not EA. That makes it even better.
Right, exactly. Not EA, not Activision.
Mhm.
So Embracer's been making good moves, making the right moves at the moment. So keep it up, Embracer, for now. Don't do us dirty now. So we'll see what happens. But for now, it's a good thing. But all right, I think that's it for this one. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notifications to stay up to date with new videos that we do all the time. Let us know in the comments below. What do you think of Embracer buying Dark Horse Comics and the Perfect World Publishing and all the different IPs that have been snatching up lately? Or, if you don't want to talk about that, anything else, just stick it down in the comments. We'll definitely reply to you and let us know our thoughts on what you said and interact with the community. But thanks again. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
See ya.